With the new year rounding the corner, thought it'd be best to make a presentation today about something useful for those of you looking to start off their next year strong. That being Cullen's Adulting Guide for the New Year. So today I'll be providing some useful life tips for adulting in addition to some other valuable lessons that I believe are universally beneficial. Whether your life is in a state of complete disrepair or you're not sure where to start yourself for this upcoming year, maybe you haven't thought out New Year's resolutions or haven't thought of, long-term goals or short-term goals or whatnot, I'm here to help because my guide is the perfect place to begin. So, with this in mind, I would like to preface for those of you listening that the information, guidance, and advice I will be providing today are from an American point of view. So, some of the information today may not be entirely relevant to your current living situation, but alas,
Boo.
a lot of it is
Boo.
applicable.
I really
Boo.
love that we somehow have a perfect 50-50 split of US and non-US citizens only because Tim is both.
True.
Oh.
That's great. So, some of the points in my presentation today, you may already know or already be doing in your life or may have already purchased. And if that is the case, or that may be the case for every single thing I talk about, and that's okay. This is just a fun, comprehensive list of personal experiences and things that I would recommend. Also, it's because I couldn't think of another presentation topic, like story that I wanted to tell. So this is just something fun that I thought I'd put together. So I am in no way sponsored or affiliated with the brands I will be mentioning today. However, I will be recommending a variety of products and services, so personal discretion is advised on that front. So,
Do you
without
recommend
further
Vault-Tec?
ado, no, I do not. This is the first thing I thought of when I was like, I need an image for door-to-door salesman for my slide, and then I just remembered the scene. I was almost gonna put like the edits that people do, where like they make them like really small, or they do like the what do you call those things? The behemoths,
Oh, yeah.
like they spawn those things in. I was gonna do that, but this picture was better.
Deathclaw comes and sells Vault Tech to you.
Nice.
Yeah. But anyways, without further ado, let's begin. So, starting with number one, start using a planner or an agenda. Almost a decade ago, back when I was in university, I got super into using agendas to track my progress with my classes and my ongoing activities with clubs and social events. And now, into my adult life, I use them to track my daily activities, from everything I've eaten in a day to the activities I've completed, almost as like a logging for the day, less so than like a to-do list. That is for my personal writing and list making. I prefer to use my phone's note sheet, so it's easily accessible and editable wherever I am. And that goes for everything from my short-term goals to my long-term goals, to-do lists, creative projects, helpful links, recipes for cooking, reminders, resolutions, and pretty much everything else in between. While I am able to remember my plans and specific events for the without the use of reminders, my life over the years has gotten or has greatly benefited from having the written information within eyesight. Seeing your goals from months ago and comparing them to where you are now in the present can be a great motivator, and having a written diary of your everyday is a fantastic reference to have, just in general, right? I highly encourage you, if you're not already doing this, to start doing it in some capacity.
One
And
of
again, it's not so much of a
Compartmentalizing. It's very good.
yeah. It's not so much of a resolution, but this is something I picked up in school years ago, and I'm like a huge advocate for it, just in any way, shape, or form.
One of
Right.
the most interesting things about the fact that my school used the like Google Drive suite is that literally everything from middle and high school that we did is still accessible to me because I still have those accounts. And you
Oh, that's
mentioned
nice.
seeing your old goals can be a motivating factor because you can see how far you've already come. It is so wild to me to look back on some of my old writing projects and like my original graphic design projects and see how second nature that stuff is to me now versus how impossible it felt back then.
Mhm.
It very much is very helpful, motivating me
Yeah.
to continue trying new things.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always like that kind of sketchbook ideology is super useful. Just
Yeah.
making stuff and putting it in a book or logging it down somewhere so that you can review it at some other point isn't just good for like seeing how far you've come, but also to like, especially if you did something that was cool or was good and you want to make a note of just how you did it so you don't have to specifically remember, you can be like, I know this was important, I did it well. This is what happened. This is the
And
situation.
I'll go off script a little bit for more of a tangent that's like personal regarding this note, because like back in 2018 I had a friend who was living in Austria, right? And he was on like a mission trip, Mormon, whatever the school is out in Utah. He's not Mormon anymore for that's a story for another day. But he like had no communication sources. Like he got access to a computer like once a week. So I'd go out of my way to write emails to him, like giant paragraphs of emails just to tell him like what's going on, in the real world and what's going on in the States and whatnot. That eventually turned into doing voice recordings for him, like on a weekly basis, just telling him about school, what my friends were doing and whatnot. But that habit eventually, like it got me to keep track of like, okay, what's important that happened today? Where it's like, oh, this funny story happened, And I got to the point where ever since that day, I don't remember the exact same day, but I have been cataloging my life for the past 6 or 7 years to the point where like I could tell you what I did on, December 20th of the last like 6 or 7 years, like verbatim.
Colin,
Like,
is this somebody I have met?
Yeah, actually, it was Kai. I think you met during the wedding season. So yeah, you have met the guy I'm talking about.
He's got some pretty fucking funny stories about his Mormon trips.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that same guy, but like, and I'm not saying you have to use like a journal or an agenda in that way. I just like using it as a time capsule. Like I literally have a project I'm doing for myself that like when I pass away, hopefully, into my old age and whatnot, like I have at least, 70, 80, maybe 90 different like agenda books and then voice recordings that I can just, pass down to like future generations as long as I upkeep them properly. So it's a personal project I'm doing just
That's
ever
nice.
since I started.
Very,
But, yeah,
very.
it doesn't have to be that.
Very small comment. If your ex-Mormon friend ever wants to give a guest presentation, we are totally open to it.
Oh yeah.
Might reach out to him for that. We'll see. I mean, he's probably got some funny stories.
You can call it
maybe
like
in the
Book of-
same.
You can call it like the Book of Mormon in real life and get all the ad revenue, get all those clicks.
Oh yeah.
No, it's gonna be pretty scathing, I'd say. So
Let's just
No,
say
no, the Book of Mormon was also pretty scary.
let's just say
Fair.
Germans are not the most like receptive to Mormon ideals.
Yeah.
Yo, you mean that America-centric religion isn't super popular anywhere else? That's nuts.
I mean, yeah, if you didn't like door-to-door salesman, imagine like a foreign door-to-door salesman trying to sell you God.
Imagine
yeah.
if they were a religion.
I don't want to spoil the story, but the way he explained it was that they would just get him to do a bunch of stuff in the favor that they might consider joining his religion.
Yo, that's exactly what the fucking
Yeah.
Vikings did. Whenever Catholics and Christian priests would come to Iceland, they would like tell the priests to do stuff for them, and then when they were out of things for the priests to do, they'd kill them, take their clothes, and then wait for more priests to show up. There's a whole
Brilliant.
section of the Icelandic Heritage Museum of shit we took off of dead priests.
Yeah.
That's a bit
But then
fucked
they
up.
did come over here, and a lot of them just stayed because they found the weather nice. And then
Yeah, you got good
I
land.
I don't
Actually,
even, I mean
speaking
that's
of
wild to me. Ooh, go ahead.
Speaking of Vikings, there is a monastery a little bit south, about an hour south of Dublin, called Glendalough, and it's pretty famous because one of the towers there was where the monks would hide from Vikings. And what they decided to do was they basically built a gigantic rock treehouse, where it was a huge tower. They put the door like 15 feet above the ground and had a ladder on it. So when someone said, "Oh, the Vikings are coming," all the monks and the workers would run in the tower, haul the ladder up, and close the door, and not come out until they left. The idea being that the Vikings couldn't climb the 15 feet of the tower to get in at them. It worked once until the Vikings realized they could, boost each other up, or just
Or bring a
effectively
ladder.
lay siege to a tower that has no food, no water in it. And yeah, it didn't work again.
Yeah.
Fascinating.